Hello, I'm Ilya and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Tonight, let's take a moment to talk about Ilya Ponomarev, a name that might not be quite as famous as Harry Potter in the wizarding world of the Russian opposition, but certainly deserves some attention. Recently, his house in the Kiev region, Ukraine, was partially destroyed by a kamikaze drone, because apparently that's how disagreements are handled these days if you're Russian and not on board with the current regime. Ponomarev, an ex-Russian MP who's now a Ukrainian citizen, described the attack on his home as his second birthday. This, by the way, was supposedly the fifth assassination attempt against him, making him possibly the luckiest or the most inconvenient man alive, depending on how you look at it. But let's talk about the dedication here. Ponomarev is accused of all sorts of things by Russia, from spreading fakes about the Russian army to, justifying terrorism. It seems if you're not with them, you're against them, and they catalogue every possible sin you could commit. And just for the cherry on top, until very recently, he has been linked to the Freedom of Russia Legion, a group of Russians fighting for Ukraine. Case in point, back in Russia, anyone even remotely connected to Ponomarev is enjoying a delightful visit from the authorities, because nothing says just checking in like a full-blown raid at your home. It's like the worst kind of family reunion, where instead of awkward conversations, you get interrogated. In a world where speaking up can literally mean dodging drones, Ponomarev's resilience is nothing short of heroic. And while Putin and his propaganda pals continue to paint a picture of unity and strength, it's people like Ponomarev who remind us of the cracks in that facade. Now, let's dive into the latest chapter of What the Hell, Russia?, starring everyone's least favorite guests at the geopolitical dinner party, Russian propagandists. Now, these folks have come out with a statement that's basically a masterclass in escalation. They have suggested that if the world dares to lend Ukraine a measly $500 billion, Russia might just need to dust off those tactical nuclear weapons, because nothing says reasonable response like nuclear overreaction. And to be fair, Russia is always like this, like a video game streamer who is bad at the game or gets caught cheating and ends up smashing up his chunky mechanical keyboard while live on stream. So embarrassing. And here is the kicker. The Russians want to prepare an ideological justification for this. Because when you're planning to potentially start a nuclear apocalypse or something, you really need to make sure your paperwork is in order, right? It's like preparing a meticulous PowerPoint presentation on why it's totally fine to turn a regional conflict into a radioactive wasteland.
Сразу хочу сказать, еще раз подчеркнуть, мы не являемся апологетами ядерной войны. Но любое оружие, любое ружье, которое висит на стене, в той или иной ситуации может выстрелить. И мы должны быть готовы в практическом плане, в политическом плане, в моральном и идеологическом плане к тому, что если вдруг будет признано целесообразным с военной и политической точки зрения использовать тактическое ядерное оружие, мы должны его использовать. А такие случаи могут возникнуть. Вот посмотрите, бывший директор ЦРУ и госсекретарь США Майк Помпео заявил о том, что Трамп в случае прихода к власти готов открыть ленд-лиз для Украины на сумму $500 миллиардов. Колоссальные деньги. И самое главное, несмотря на то, что Помпео, конечно, сейчас работает как украинский лоббист, и очевидно, кстати говоря, учитывая, что нашу программу смотрят в США, директору ФБР хотел бы послать месседж. Поставьте Помпео под колпак, чьи идеи он озвучивает, и кто его стимулирует к столь настойчивой и яростной поддержке Украины по накачке ее американскими деньгами уже в варианте ленд-лиза. Это будет полезно для внутренней безопасности США. Так вот, если вдруг такой ленд-лиз откроется, и у нас может возникнуть необходимость к практическому задействованию тактического ядерного оружия для поражения тех или иных военных целей. И здесь важно готовить и идеологическое обоснование этого процесса.
At this point, you've got to wonder if their motto is, why bring a knife to a gunfight when you can bring a nuke? Okay, before you rush off to the local store to buy a year's supply of water and canned meat and prepare for reenacting the Fallout games in real life, remember that Russia also has a long tradition of not following on its threats, at all. Now, let's take a whirlwind tour through the latest escapades in Russia's political theater, where Where's Waldo meets governmental operations. It seems Vladimir Kara-Murza, along with other political prisoners, has been spirited away faster than characters from a J.K. Rowling novel, leaving everyone guessing where they might pop up next. Now, first off, in a turn of events but not really that surprising, Vladimir Kara-Murza has apparently vanished, pulled a Houdini, if you will, from his prison cell. His attorney, channeling a mix of Sherlock Holmes and a very frustrated parent, has been denied access not once but twice. Rumor has it, Kara-Murza might have taken a special flight out of Omsk. Meanwhile, the rest of Russia's who's who of political dissenters seem to be on a similar magical mystery tour. Reports suggest that presidential jets have been buzzing around more than bees in springtime, shuffling political prisoners here, there, and maybe even to a theater near you. Because who doesn't love a good surprise appearance, especially when orchestrated by the Kremlin? And let's not forget the backdrop to all this, rumors of an imminent prisoner swap involving the US, Germany and Belarus. It's like international speed dating but with higher stakes and more geopolitics. And just when you think it can't get any more like a spy novel, there is talk of swapping a German citizen on death row in Belarus for an FSB agent jailed in Germany. Because who doesn't love a good old-fashioned spy for a spy trade? So, as we ponder the fate of these political chess pieces, let us spare a thought for their families and lawyers navigating a landscape where transparency is less visible than Putin's retirement plan. And to the Russian government, a big shout-out for keeping the spirit of Cold War thrillers alive and well. Never thought The Bridge of Spies was going to have a sequel. Now, let's check in on Russia's latest tech saga. Yes, it's the YouTube drama, Russian style. So, YouTube is reportedly down across most of the country, and not because the servers got a visit from Fancy Bear or some other Russian hacker collective, but because, as one propagandist dramatically declared, YouTube is kaput because it deserves it. I guess, if you can't win the argument, you just, well, unplug it. Which is kind of funny when you consider Russia complaining about being a victim of cancel culture every now and then. Let's be honest, Russia is cancel culture. And here is Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov weighing in with his usual charm. He's upset because YouTube doesn't respect Russia, mainly due to it blocking Russian channels. His solution? Well, block it all, block YouTube, and while we're at it, well, not all American websites. So yeah, you rage quit the game after losing out to the pros, and before you do, you accuse everyone of running an aimbot. Classy.
Надо не замедлять, надо сегодня закрыть к чертовой матери, еще, и легче будет нам.
Рамзан Ахматович, можно еще раз спрошу? Вы говорили, нужно развивать социальные сети свои, но они не развиваются. Как вы думаете, почему?
Потому что мы самые топовые артисты, актеры, футболисты наши, которые сидят на их сетях.
You know, for a guy whose soldiers are known literally as the TikTok troopers, that is kind of risky. Anyway, Russian propagandists are now in a bind, left on platforms without global reach, mumbling to themselves about the unfairness of it all. It's like watching someone complain that their megaphone doesn't work in an echo chamber. As a side note, some people wonder what all the Russian trolls are going to do now. Making a mess out of the YouTube comments section was their day job, judging by the constant stream of nonsense and obscenities under certain videos. Guess they will end up posing as Americans and trying to do some election interference because, you know, the fact that some Western stuff is banned in Russia doesn't mean a select few can't enjoy it anymore. So expect more warm waterport Texans in your feed. And if you thought the YouTube comments section will be a better place now, think again. And with this, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World. I'm Jonasz Rewiński. Bye for now.